No ea e Mauri, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. Coming up.
Right now we are facing the outcome of that destruction last year.
New Caledonia, a year on since the deadly riots. Also, PNG Media Council appeals to Prime Minister. And
we Pacific people have been brought up that we are the people of the we and not the me, but I've been especially aspirational for our children.
celebrating the career of Luamanuvao Dame Winnie Laban. This week marks a year since civil unrest erupted in Kanaky, New Caledonia. The unrest was triggered after France supported changes to the country's constitution that would have enabled more recent migrants to vote, something pro-independence groups feared would dilute their political power. That proposed change has since been abandoned. However, uncertainty over political stability and the status of the country as a French territory remain. Te Wila Fuatai spoke to Pastor Billy Wetiwea, who is based on the island of Lifu and spends time in Numea.
The insurrection, the revolution that started in 13th of May 2024 last year, with the burnings and the destruction and the death that we had, when we were calling this the crisis. We were going through a crisis. Right now we are facing the outcome of that destruction last year, more heavily in terms of social issues, economic issues. What I have seen is that there are a lot of families who are really struggling in trying to survive in town. A lot of parents have lost their jobs. A lot of children who have left school since last year because of the destruction and now have tried to be relocated in other schools, but have been, for some of them, have been facing some difficulties to subscribe their children in some other schools. And on top of that, we have witnessed quite a discriminatory process of resubscribing the children in the school.
Can you say a bit more about the discriminatory processes you see happening?
What we have witnessed also since last year, it's like a kind of radicalization of position from the political parties in authority in the South provinces. The South province has been always led and managed by pro-France political parties and leaders, and they have been adopting some law and rules that making really difficult for the families in town now to get access to aid for education, housing, health assurance, because one of the criteria now that they ask the family to get access to those aid is to prove that you have been staying in the South provinces for 10 years. If you cannot prove that, you cannot get access to those aid.
Before we go any further, can you just describe the layout of Numea for our listeners and the difference between neighbourhoods?
So we have the northern neighbourhood of the city, who has been the most affected by the destruction last year. And those neighborhoods have been more inhabited by Kanak people and Oceanian people, meaning Tahitian, Walisian people, even white also, Indonesian. That's also the poorest neighborhood, where you will find the poorest families, the poorest condition. That's where you will have the squatter settlement. When in the south, it is more rich and more white. Since last year, it was the northern neighborhoods who has been really affected. The social issues that we are seeing now, it's happening mostly in the northern neighborhood.
What do you mean by social issues?
So some neighborhoods have been penalized. There are no transport going in. People will have to walk or sometimes have to pay the bus, which the price has risen as well. It's really difficult to go to work or to go to school for some of the families. So we have a lot of children or youth who are in the neighborhoods but no more going also to school. I was in Numea this weekend and I was reached out by one family who sent a message to ask for help. It's been for more than 3 weeks. The family who has like 5, 6 children, eating only one meal a day, and even some days not eating at all. Only the mother is working, but to go to work, she has to walk. The children who are going to school have to walk to the next neighborhood because the school in their neighborhood has been destroyed, so they have to walk to the other one every day. And it's been for more than 3 weeks that they were eating just one meal a day or even less. We managed to have some times with them and bring some food, but also some counseling to them. But those kind of conditions within the family there are a lot who are in those conditions and even sometimes worse. That's not something that happened because of the destruction last year. The social inequalities was already there before May 2024. It's just that it has been revealed more concretely to the eyes of the people.
What help is there from authorities or official government agencies?
Not really a lot of things has been done from the government apart of this political discussion. What we have witnessed is that the people have been reorganizing themselves and looking for solutions for themselves. My message maybe for the state is to be more truth to its position as being the colonial power in this interaction with our political parties here and our people here, and they really need to come down and spend time with the people and discuss with them and hear them.
The Media Council of Papua New Guinea has called on Prime Minister James Marape to stop Telecom PNG silencing and suppressing media personnel. Telecom PNG owns 2 key outlets, FM 100 and EMTV. Recently, a sacked FM 100 talkback host, Kanaky Tanda, which Media Council President Neville Choi says is just the latest example of media suppression by Telecom PNG going back to 2018. He says a free, robust and independent media is an essential pillar of democracy. It's the cornerstone of allowing freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Mr. Choi spoke to Don Wiseman about his concerns.
It has been happening for a while. I mean, just the different instances that we've listed in the Media Council statement yesterday. It's just outlining how it's become a common practice by Telecom PNG as the owners of FM100 and MTV. With the suspension of Kanaky Tanda, the popular host of the FM100 talkback show.
Yes, what was his alleged offence?
On the face of it, I think he in his formal response to the suspension, he asked for clarity around what policies he breached. And after it had gone viral, initially Telecom had advised him that he was supposed to respond to an investigation team. They said the investigation team was to determine whether he had breached any of the principles contained in the Media Council of PNG Code of Ethics and Professional Practice. He was on suspension while this process was kicking in. And then upon the completion of his 3-week suspension without pay, he was issued a letter of termination.
What was it that he had supposedly done to warrant this?
I think it's in something to the effect of bringing disrepute to the organization through not properly vetting or providing advance notice of somebody like ECP Governor Alan Bird coming on as a guest on his talkback show.
Telecom PNG very much doing the bidding for government members of parliament.
Well, it seems that way. I mean, in the instances that we've gone through personally at MTV in the past, it's always been that way. Telecom launches an investigation, and then the results of the investigation somehow lead to the inevitable termination of whoever it is the target of that investigation. And that happened, the last time it happened was in 2022 when a full newsroom of 24 journalists were terminated after they walked off the job in protest to extreme micromanagement and intimidation from the then acting CEO.
It does seem odd that Telecom PNG is running these important media institutions.
Well, Telecom took over 100% ownership of MTV, and they have the remit over Limited as a commercial radio station. But I think there's a growing acknowledgement that even though they are managing a commercial TV station, I think the understanding of where the line needs to be drawn so that the newsroom part of it, or the news management part of it, is buffered and kept separate corporate interests or government or state interests. I think that's where the difficulty lies with PNG.
So has the Communications Minister had anything to say? He is a former journalist, after all.
Yes, I think he has been on radio. I personally haven't listened to what he's been said, but I understand he has been referring to the National Development Policy as being a sort of grounding for potential action or support in enforcing media freedom. Specifically, I haven't heard anything directly from him.
Well, what does the Media Council of PNG want to happen now?
For this nonsense to stop, basically. If the government is serious about protecting media freedoms, and if the Prime Minister of our country is serious about sticking to his very publicly made commitments to ensuring and protecting media freedom for PNG, then we need to ensure that either in law or if the policy is going to be rolled out and implemented, to make sure that part of it also looks at the welfare and well-being of our media personnel, even from their own management.
Environmentalists in the Cook Islands say Henry Puna being appointed as a director for a deep-sea mining company is in conflict with his conservation work. The former Prime Minister was pivotal in the creation of multi-use ocean protection area Marae Moana. Caleb Fotheringham has more.
Henry Puna, whose most recent role was Secretary-General of the Pacific Islands Forum, has joined the board of Cobalt Seabed Resources, or CSR, a joint venture between the Cook Islands government and Belgium company Global Sea Mineral Resources. Auckland PhD student Liam Kukaua says the creation of Marae Moana, which was built to protect the ocean, is in conflict with the company that aims to extract valuable minerals from the seabed.
If you truly believe the Marae Moana is a place that must be protected at all costs and protected for our sustained livelihood and future of our generations to come, then I don't think rushing into a experimental industry that could potentially have huge impacts is aligned with those intentions.
Marae Moana was created in 2017 and extends over the entire island nation's exclusive economic zone, covering an area roughly the size of Mexico. It prohibits large-scale commercial fishing and seabed mining within 50 nautical miles of each of the 15 islands. Mr. Kukaua says the appointment will likely be a red flag to the international community.
It's a little bit too close for home when people who were formerly claimed to be champions of marine conservation and then become director of a seabed minerals company.
Alana Smith, the director of Cook Islands environmental charity Te Epukurea Society, says Henry Puna was interested in deep-sea mining exploration while simultaneously pushing for the creation of Marae Moana.
It is something to be wary about with his new role, and maybe how he might go about greenwashing, how the deep-sea mining company operates within our waters and their actions.
Mr. Puna was an MP for Northern Group Atoll Manahiki. Local John Marie Williams says Mr. Puna is a good man, but believes the benefits of deep-sea mining will not be seen on his island.
Mining our seabed, we could make money out of it, but who is going to make money out of it? Definitely not the people of Manahiki. Definitely the corporates will make money out of it.
But William Numanga, who has worked with Mr. Puna as a policy analyst, doesn't see it like that.
Remember, Henry lives on an atoll up north. And so if there's any effect on the environment, he would be first-hand to know what happens. I don't think he would be putting aside a lot of the environmental concerns or challenges. He would be making sure that those environmental concerns are factored into this development process.
He says Mr. Puna's involvement with Marae Moana is one of the reasons why he is good for the role.
He was actually there as Prime Minister, ushering this new seabed minerals sector as part of diversification of the economy for the Cook Islands. But, with his passion for environmental protection and conservation, it's balancing economic development with environmental concerns.
Deep-sea mining in the Cook Islands has not yet started, and mining companies are in the fourth year of exploration. RNZ Pacific has made multiple attempts to reach Mr. Puna for comment. However, in a statement, he says CSR is uniquely placed to make advances for the people of the Cook Islands.
At this week's May graduation ceremony, Te Herenga Waka Victoria University's Honourable Luamanuvao Dame Winnie Laban was awarded an honorary doctorate in recognition for her contribution to education. Although she has now stepped down from the role, Luamanuvao served as the university's Assistant Vice-Chancellor Pasifika for 14 years. In that time, she has worked tirelessly to raise Pasifika students' achievement. She speaks to Moira Tulei Patela, who began by asking if she had expected the award.
No, I was not expecting this honorary doctorate from Te Herenga Waka Victoria University of Wellington because I've always been aspirational for others, and we Pacific people have been brought up that we are the people of the we and not the me, but I've been especially aspirational for our children. You know, our children are growing up in Aotearoa, New Zealand. It's really important that they make the most of the opportunities that education has to offer. Secondly, education also teaches you to read, to write, to research, to critique, but more importantly, become an informed voice. And considering what's happening in society now with AI and also technology and social media, it's really important that we can tell our stories and share our values, and we counter that by receiving a good education and applying ourselves to do well.
I was going to say too, you're talking about aspirations for others. I'm going to say many people were impressed with your many achievements, which Vice Chancellor Professor Nick Smith read during the ceremony, and it really came to, as I was listening to a lot of people sitting around me, your life has always been steeped in service and in social justice.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a saying in Samoa, no le ala le pule le tautua. So the road to authority and to leadership is through service. And we are who we are because we come from sacred genealogies, and we represent families and we represent communities. And we've always been taught how important it is not to indulge in our own individual success, but to always become a voice and support our brothers and sisters and our families and our communities who are especially struggling. And it's important to offer optimism and hope, but a way forward for everyone.
In your speech, once you had accepted the doctorate, you mentioned the importance of education, which you've just said, and also women in leadership, both matters very close to your heart.
Yes, because many Pacific people will know how powerful our women are, especially our mothers, our grandmothers and great-grandmothers. We actually come from cultures of very powerful and very strong women. Why? It's not centred in the individual woman, it's centred in the well-being of our families and our communities. And that's what women leadership is all about in the Pacific.
The number of students enrolled at the university during your time as Assistant Vice-Chancellor Pasifika has increased from 4.70% in 2010 to 6.64% in 2024. Do you feel that tertiary education is still achievable for many of our Pacific communities?
Well, you know, I'd love to be able to double that number and match the percentage of population that Pacific are. But it is really important to ensure that the front end, and I'm actually talking about early childhood, primary and secondary, prepares our children well for tertiary. And that, coupled with that, it's also about working with our churches, our respective Pacific communities and our families, so that we're all in this together, so that our children receive the right sort of support, the right education to make informed choices. So when they start at university, they're ready and they're competing with some of the best in the country.
And after 14 years at Te Herenga Waka, what were some of the changes you have witnessed?
Yeah, well, I think we've had an increase in, say, Pacific academics in some areas. For example, with the Faculty of Law, we've got 2 senior Pacific women now in legal, in lecturer, Pacific lecturer positions. We've also got 4 associate professors. Now I've finished. That's also a vacancy for another. We've got an increase in terms of Pacific people that are working the professional staff as well. But more importantly, Pacifica is being recognised as a partner alongside Māori, and we have to continue to work on that.
You've been very active for a very long time, and will it be tough to be able to take things easy for a little bit?
You name one Pacific Islander who ever takes life easy. People talk to me about retiring and resigning, and I said no, I'm about moving on and embracing life while we have it. And I've always used this line that I will die as I live. And it is important to me that we continue to support the next generation of leaders and mentor them and encourage them, to go forward and be part of the decision making. And secondly, but at the same, is that I'm passionate about the Pacific. Aotearoa New Zealand is of the Pacific, and she needs to embrace that more and consistently to treat all our Pacific brothers and sisters as equals, and that we are there to look after each other and support each other.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā soifua.